It's been a long time coming, but persistence has finally paid off, and a former railroad line running from Dorset to Manchester has now opened for business as a biking and hiking trail. The 3-mile-long stretch currently runs from the Manchester Elementary Middle School to North Road, with plans to add an additional 2 miles to eventually link up with the Dorset School off of Morse Hill Road. The route runs from Mems through the Rec Park to Riley Rink and through the backwoods to North Road, emerging near the corner of Squires Road. That's where we met up with a core group of organizers a few days later, following a soft opening that was held the last week in July. Robin and Amy Werner, Bill Drunzik, and Jim Hand explained how the trail came to be.
Okay, back in 2000, the town of Manchester commissioned a study of this old railroad bed. It was called the Manchester, Dorset, and Granville Railroad. It went out of business in the 20s or 30s. The town commissioned a study to turn it into a walking and biking and multi-use trail. We got involved in it because of a committee that the town formed also called the 2020 Committee, which was charged with making Manchester a more attractive outdoor recreation, biking and hiking area. With the help of Lee Crone, we approached the owners. Bill was instrumental in this, and we acquired this piece of land with the intention of turning it over to the town to complete the trail. Now, the whole trail, the part that we're talking about right now that we bought, is from here to here, and it's about a mile. This part of the trail has not been cleared yet, but this part of the trail already exists.
And down to Mems.
Down to the rec area and down to Manchester Elementary Middle School. It's open now. It's not bikeable at this point. It really needs one more section cleared to be walkable. You could walk in a pair of sneakers, but there is a significant bridge that is missing in the middle. We've created a workaround. You can go down a little bit of a hill and cross the river on a small bridge, but it's not at the correct height that the railroad bridge was at one point. So that is an impediment to riding a bike through here. Otherwise, it would be bikeable.
In the process of obtaining the 2 easements that we need from Peckham Materials, who at this point seem very agreeable to cooperating with us to make this happen, and with Riley Rink. But those are well in process to happen, and that will complete the links and make it a through trail from North Road all the way to downtown at Mems, as was mentioned earlier. Also, on the back side of me, but we can continue up Squires Road, then across Kelleher Road, I believe it is, up to Dorset School with very little modifications, and that will be part of the plan also. No, it's not ready for road bikes at this point, but a mountain bike could handle most of it, except for, I got to correct Robin, the small stream crossings. We don't have rivers down here.
Okay.
The trail follows the route of the long-defunct Manchester, Dorset, and Granville Railroad Company, which used to haul marble quarried in Dorset to Manchester for processing and eventual reshipment elsewhere across the country. The rail line has been closed since 1925, and the tracks and ties long ago ripped up, although traces of that history can still be found.
What do we have here?
It's up further.
That's a piece of coal clinker, which formed a good part of the substructure of the roadbed. When they built railroad beds back then, they would use the coal clinker from the old steamers. That's how they'd recycle it.
An occasional old railroad cross tie can still be found.
They were made out of cedar, so that's why there's still some remnants of them. They haven't completely rotted away.
The railroad bed corridor was acquired by its current owners, the old Railroad Bed LLC, in 2009. But several court cases had to be resolved first before the ownership rights could be finalized. About 2 years ago, some of the abutting landowners voiced concerns about having a hiking and biking trail in their midst. Other residents have applauded the possibility of adding it to the town's list of attractions. The ownership of the trail could turn into an agenda item at next year's town meeting in Manchester, where residents may be asked if they'd be interested in acquiring the trail for the town.
Well, Robin bought his new chainsaw.
My kids were at Dorset Elementary School, and they would often have afternoon practices for soccer, and lacrosse, and whatever. My wife and I were both working, so we were trying to get away for them safely, without, Bill says, riding on the roads, their bikes, to get down to the rec park. And at that time, through my wife, had become aware of the railroad bed and the possibility that someday we might sell it and get rid of it because it wasn't being obviously used for a railroad. And so that was, for me, one of the early motivations. That goes back.
Actually used it?
Well, Thomas and I cross-country skied it when he was in 5th or 6th grade.
Making Manchester something of a biking mecca has been an aspect of town planning for some time, and gathered steam after the Manchester 2020 meetings held 4 years ago. Since then, other bike trails have opened or are in the works, and bike lanes are being planned for the overhaul of Depot Street, slated to begin next year. Having this bike and hike trail fully up to speed would add to that, the new owners maintain. The trail already has its own Facebook page and is ready for walkers and hikers. For the GNet TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.